call to order the regular city council meeting for August 3rd, 2022. I'd ask that everyone please stand. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have a prayer invocation by Mrs. Hall in the first floor. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father and our God, we come this afternoon to say thank you. Father God, we thank you for each and every one that is here tonight. We thank you, Lord, because you woke us up this morning in new grace and new mercy. Thank you, Father God, for who you are, how you work in us, how you work through us, through the Holy Spirit that leads God and protect us from anything. We thank you for our mayor, each and every alderman, all the official members. We just ask that you continue to let your anointing fall fresh on each one of them. Pray as the work that you call for them to do be carried out according to your will. Thank you, Lord. And we come in agreement. We come in unity. We come in love, which is agape love. That whatever said and done tonight will be done according to your will. We praise you, Lord. Again, I say who we are, what you're doing, and you work in us and through us. In Jesus' name, we all touch and agree and say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Oops. Roll call, please.
Mayor Adcola,
Here.
Alderman Lady Hampton Hauser, present. Alderman Jones,
Present.
Alderman Lady McDowell, present. Alderman Barron,
We have a quorum.
Approve the minutes, regular city council meeting minutes, July 20th, 2022.
Mayor Powell,
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the regular city council meeting July 20th, 2022, as presented with any noted corruptions.
second.
Motion by Alderman Barron, second by Alderlady McDowell for approval of minutes, regular city council meeting minutes, July 20th, 22. Question? Roll call?
Alderman Jones,
Yes.
Alderman Lady Hampton Hauser,
Yes.
Alderman Lady McDowell,
Yes.
Alderman Barron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Authorization, claims, and accounts, the bill list?
Mayor Powell,
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the authorization of claims and accounts for August 3rd, which reads as follows. Corporate, $445,598.45. Water and sewer, $206,711.82. We have solid waste at $28,314.94. We have motor fuel at $47,006.71. Market Senior Living Complex, $44,359.97. We have the roller rink at $34,772.70. We had a TIF Dixie Highway, $118,025 even. We had an TIF Interstate Crossing, $15,537, which gives us a total of $940,326.59. With manual tax adding up to $27,498.34, which give us a grand total of $967,824.93.
Second.
Motion by Alderlady Hampton, second by Alderman Barron for approval, authorization, of claims, and account, the bill list. Question? Roll call?
Alderman Barron,
Yes.
Alderman Lady McDowell,
Yes.
Alderman Lady Hampton Hauser,
Yes.
Alderman Jones,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, moving right along. Under special presentations tonight, we'll have Corporation Counsel, Law Department, Ward Census presentation. I think that's some of why we got a lot of people here tonight, which is good to be informed. So with that, Mr. Alderson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, alderpersons.
Good evening.
With me tonight is Ross Suckler, who you know And hidden behind the camera here is Frank Calabrese. Frank is a demographer, a mapper who does this for a living. He takes the figures from the Census Bureau, incorporates it into whatever community we're in, and gives you statistics and gives you the demographics from 10 years ago and the new demographics. Tonight, I've sent you all a memo, and I just want to go over a couple high points of that for you, Mr. Mayor, and the council and the public as to why we're here. The constitutional and federal laws is the first reason. The 14th Amendment says that we should have one person and one vote. No person should have more than one vote, and every person's vote should be equal. That's the basis of the 14th Amendment. That flows right into the Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965 and a case called Thornburg versus Jingles. I won't bore you with United States Supreme Court cases, but that was a premier case after the passage of the Federal Voting Rights Act, calling for minority wards if you could make a minority ward. And actually, I'm going to touch on that in a bit for Markham. You must balance your wards so that every person has an equal vote. If you don't, you're subject to a federal lawsuit because of violation of one person, one vote, or if you have to draw a ward to represent a minority group and you don't do that, you could be subject to a lawsuit also. There have been a good number of cases through the years. Recently, the case in Gonzalez versus City of Aurora in 2008 talked about a number of these factors. Yesterday, we were in Aurora. We're doing the map in Aurora too. Frank, next slide. Moving from the Constitution in the United States Supreme Court, we go to state statutes and Markham's history. In general, the Illinois Municipal Code, our statutes, establishes the number of wards and alderpersons the city may have based on its population. And we cite for you, and in the memo, the statute where it says that. At one time, the city had 5 wards with 2 alderpersons per ward. After the 90 census, the city went to 4 wards pursuant to state statute with 1 alderperson per ward. And that goes back to a 1998 ordinance, which is where we had to go as our starting point because you haven't redistricted since 1998. In 1998, when you redistricted, you used correctly, you used the 1990s census figures. The Illinois Municipal Code redistricting requirements. Wards shall be as nearly equal in population as possible. They should be compact and contiguous territory as much as practical. That means they have to be together, and you can't have a piece of a ward here and a piece of a ward here without something connecting. As far as practicable, no precinct shall be divided between 2 or more wards. And this redistricting shall be completed not less than 30 days before the first day set by the general election law for the filing of candidate petitions for the next succeeding election for city officers. That date, as we told you in our memo, is October 22nd, because petitions for the next election, the primary, are due the end of November. Okay, next slide. These are the really important sections of the municipal code. I'll skip to the redistricting shall be completed not less than 30 days before the first day set by the general election law for the filing of candidate petitions for the next succeeding election for city officers. As I said, that date is October 22nd. If it appears from any official decennial census that is necessary to redistrict under subsection B of this code, or for any other reason, the city council shall immediately proceed to redistrict the city and shall hold the next city election in accordance with the new redistricting. That's the state statute, that's the law. Next one, Frank. Okay, so that kind of sets the table. Frank Calabrese is going to go through the presentation of your map, where you were, some statistics, and what we've put together based on the numbers from the federal census. Okay, Frank?
Thank you so much for it. So this is a comparison of how the population changed in Markham over the past 10 years. Markham has decreased almost 900 people, and the demographics have changed a bit. There's a Latino population which is increasing. It's now over 2,000 Latinos in Markham, and the white and black population has gone down. City of Markham, it's 75% black, now 17% Latino, and 7% white, according to the 2020 census. There are four wards in the city, and all 4 wards had population decrease. The wards that decreased the most were the first ward, which decreased by 11%, and the second ward, which decreased by 15%. Third and fourth ward had more modest population decreases. And here are the statistics. So we had the second ward losing 360 people, and you had the third ward, which lost much more modest, 100 people. And over 10 years, the city of Markham shrank by 9%, and then it lost just under 900 people. So when we redistrict, we don't go off of the 10-year change, we go off of the deviation. And as Bert mentioned, the last time Markham redistricted was based off of the 1990 census, and which is 30 years ago. So the wards are really out of whack per se in terms of population, because we have one ward that's essentially twice the size of another ward. And so I just kind of colorize this to show which wards are bigger than the others. So the fourth ward is very large in population compared to the other wards. Also, the third ward is much larger compared to the second and the first ward. You also can see geographically that the first ward is much smaller than compared to the fourth ward. The third ward is 20% above the deviation. So the deviation is the average of the 4 wards. The fourth ward is 31% above the deviation. The first ward is 61% below the deviation, and the second ward is 46% below the deviation. So the first ward is 61% below what it should be, and the fourth ward is 31% above what it should be. And as Mr. Olson was mentioning, there's a legal requirement of no more than a 10% deviation. If you add 31 plus 61, you get 92%. So there's a 92% deviation, which is substantially over the legal limits. And here is the data behind that. You have a 92% deviation. Each ward should be around 3,000 people, and you have the first ward at 1,800, and the fourth ward at 2,200, and this violates the protection because in the first ward you have much more sway than the fourth ward.
Frank, let me interrupt you. So what that means, while it's up on the screen, it means someone in the first ward's vote counts twice as much as a person in the fourth ward. That means the alderman of the fourth ward represents twice as many people as the alderman in the first ward. The law doesn't allow for that. Okay, Frank?
So here's kind of a demographic display of the area around Markham. So the white line is the township division. So Markham's in 2 townships around it. You can see I colorized it for different demographics. Toward the west of Markham, you have I'm using census block groups for this. You have census block groups that are majority white. You also have some census areas which are Latino, those are the orange areas, and then the green areas are where blacks are the largest demographic. And you can see when we look at Markham that we have black population the highest for the east end, and then when you get to the west end of Markham, it's more diverse. You have nearly white population.
Frank, can you go back 1 minute? I alluded to this in my presentation. The fourth ward has 28% Latino population, and the third ward has 13% Latino population. Now, we just finished the city of Chicago with 50 wards, which took us 4 or 5 months, and we saw a shift in population there between white, black, and Latino, some of which is similar to the shift that you're going through between African American and Latinos more populating. There may come a time 10 years from now, and 10 years from now, Mayor, remind me if I forget 10 years from now, that we may have to look to create a Latino ward. If the population is compact enough of Latinos to be 50% or greater. It's not near that now, but there are significant numbers. Okay, Frank, sorry.
So according to the 2020 census, all 4 wards are majority black and white. And I kind of colored this by intensity. You see that the first ward with higher black intensity than this way. Here are the statistics behind this. You can see the difference. There's 11 white people in the first ward. There's 704. So in each ward is majority black. And so we have a ward proposer. Should I go ahead with the ward proposer?
Yes. Yes. And we put this together by way of the numbers and Frank would describe it, in trying to make everything as compact and contiguous as possible. For instance, in the old map, Alderman Jones's ward was split with maybe a connector right at the street. I'm not sure, but we'll go back to the old map. Why don't you go through this new map?
So to read this, the black dark line, that's the current boundary, and then the colored in portion, that would be the ward proposal. And if you remember from before, the fourth ward and the third ward are overpopulated, and the first and second ward, they're underpopulated. And the deviation is very significant, so you have to move more than the block.
Yeah, and Frank, let me interrupt. Again, when you have the smallest ward on one end of town and the largest ward on the other end of town, there's no place to go out this way. You have to shift the wards from within, basically, where Alderman Barron has to give up folks and Alderman Hampton Hauser has to increase folks, as does Alderman McDowell. Okay, Frank.
So this is our initial ward proposal that we have come up with. We also marked for all along in the middle. And again, it's fairly simple. You have the western end, which has to lose people, and the eastern end has to gain people. So we just kind of stretch the
And again, acknowledging where all live, there was no other way to go for Alderman in the first ward, but under the second ward, in order to capture more territory and people this way. Okay, Frank.
And you can see under this proposal, we go from a 92% deviation, which is illegal, to a 10% deviation, which is legal, and it maintains for majority minority ward. Also, I'll bring this up as a Google map. I'm gonna bring this up as a Google map. One second, I'm bringing this up as Google Maps so we can.
I'll go back to reference.
Here we go. So this is a Google map of the proposal. So we can zoom in. Yeah, on this specific spot. And this is our proposal. Mr. Olson, do you have any?
Yeah, I'm opening it up for questions, Mayor. Again, it's on the agenda tonight for discussion.
Correct.
And
Right, it's not, we're not taking action.
no action tonight. No.
But I do want to allow the council to discuss here with, and certainly I know we've got people here that have come out for that and got other reasons why they didn't speak, so perhaps any of the council members that want to ask questions of you tonight here, then we can do that. So, council?
I have a question. The map that you created, how was that designed again?
Sorry?
The map, the concept map that you created?
Yes.
How was that designed?
It was designed with the mapper and with myself and Ross, using the numbers from the federal census and trying to stay as compact and contiguous and try to even out, not try, we did even out the population. Frank, can you go back to the concept map?
This is a Google map.
All right,
I think it's very well.
okay.
It's more interactive.
And we were faced with some difficulty because of the overpopulation on one end of town and the underpopulation on the other end of town. And the only way we could lose this way and gain this way, and not to try to disturb the area where the aldermen reside and the people that know the best. That's why we had to go around Ward 2,
Okay.
rather than a drastic change and cutting pieces off, cutting aldermen off.
Okay, so you designed this so the aldermen will stay intact.
Yes, sir.
And so
Yes,
just this concept is to allow, the aldermen to still, hold their seats in just different wards.
yes, yes, it was designed to allow the aldermen who are currently in place to stay there, and actually it worked out because of the population. Yeah, your town is just different because of the overpopulation on one side and the underpopulation on another. You know, we don't normally find that. Usually you can move around a little bit better, but in order to honor what's in place now, we changed as little as we possibly could, but still put population into the wards in order to comply with the law.
Alderman Jones, one of the things I mentioned to you when I contacted you, that for several months, they have been in contact with me, and I hadn't taken any action. I did tell them that one thing that had to be done is that everybody had to try, we wanted to try to maintain them as close as to their home base as possible. That was taken into consideration, where you live at being your home base.
Exactly. Now, what I'm saying though is that I found out myself that the information you sent to us, Attorney Burt Alderson, in that passage, it says that, I learned a very interesting word. It's called contingency. Contingency.
Yes, contiguous.
Contiguous, okay? It means sharing a common border, adjacent, neighboring, adjoining, bordering. In Illinois State Statute 5/3-1-2.0, you mentioned it, but you didn't mention one thing. It clearly states, it says, no precinct shall be divided between 2 or more wards. In the red area, she is split between 5 different precincts.
No,
So-
a precinct shouldn't be divided amongst 2 or more wards.
Correct.
And we try to do that, but that's a low priority, and the county clerk will fix whatever that. So if you, Frank, can you go back to the original map? And you bring up a good point. I want to show you something about being contiguous, what it really means. Can you go back to the map, Frank? Original. See, not only was the population off, but being contiguous was off.
According to state statute, one precinct cannot cross, one ward cannot cross over into another precinct.
No, yes, you can.
Excuse me, Alderman
Frank,
Jones.
is that the original?
That's a misreading of the statute. It says, as far as practicable, no precinct shall be divided between 2 or more wards.
Right.
So to the extent practical, so that means that, of course, a ward is going to encompass more than one precinct. That's just that function of how big precincts are. Precincts are determined by the county clerk.
Yeah, now that's.
I think in the process of being reportioned as still, and still from the census. And that is, as Bert mentioned, as Mr. Olds mentioned, that is, it specifically says as far as practicable, because the more important, the most important things are the equal in population, as nearly as equal in population as possible, and that compact because those are constitutional requirements in addition to the Federal Voting Rights Act, which that's why we went through a lot of the demographic data, because we have to conduct that analysis to ensure that we're all in compliance. In Markham, we are. But that's why we're laying this out. But a precinct, one, I don't believe that we have any split precincts in any of the wards. But on top of that, it is the lowest priority on this list, especially because, as Mr. Rose also mentioned, the county clerk is still reapportioning its precincts anyways, and the county clerk determines that. So that is where that is. That is not a
I understand what
legal requirement.
But here was the problem with here was one of the problems with being contiguous in your old map. Yeah, the only thing that's contiguous between the 3rd ward is the street, and the same thing it looks like on the 2nd ward. We didn't dive down deep, but from the map, these 2 sections of Ward 3 are barely, if contiguous, as well as Ward 2 is more contiguous because it comes up here, a little finger up here that touches this side. But Ward 3 had contiguous problems too. But again, contiguous is a high factor, but not as high as population. That's number one, to even out the wards, number one.
In the stated this letter here, as far as for precincts, I believe that a group of people from the city of Markham will sit down and actually try to figure out ways to align it as far as with alignment of the previous map. Like, for example, Ward 2 wraps around the whole entire city, making it a dominant ward. You know, it makes it a dominant ward. I mean, and then instead of going up, you went back down.
Right.
And
And
there's new
the concept map. Frank.
That's new development. There's new homes there. That's a whole new subdivision.
Frank, the concept
So,
map.
Mr. Olson, so the reason that we have this weird configuration is because it's a combination of using the census tracts. Also, they have each, like Ward 1 is weird, kind of a weird configuration, but that's because they can't displace the second ward alderman, right?
Well, actually, you could. If that's what the council wanted to do, you could displace aldermen. We respected the fact that the people elected the aldermen from that area, so we didn't displace them. But legislatively, you could displace. I have to be honest with you.
And that actually happened. The chief used to be one of the aldermen here.
Oh.
And instead of, we used to have 5 aldermen.
Right.
And it was Alderman Jack Genius. It was the mayor, Miller, Lewis Tony, and Mr. Ashley. And when they connected those 2 wards, one of them had to give the spot up, and he graciously gave it to Arlie Dudak. So that is possible, but it's still within the contiguous of what we're trying to do. You know, I mean, it's not up to, you know, we have to follow the precincts as possible for you to say, well, you know, we didn't want to join them together. It's not part of the law. That's not part of the law here. Show me where it says that you have to do that.
Sir. In 2 months, I'll celebrate my 50th anniversary as a lawyer. So with all due respect, I think I know the law here.
Yes, sir.
I've been doing remaps for 40+ years. This is my 4th from the city of Chicago that I've done. We're doing them for all of our municipalities. And the only thing I regret is that I didn't get to Markham early because we were so busy with Chicago. But because you were smaller, we were able to accomplish this in a little bit easier time. Number one thing we have to look for is evening out the population. And here's how we're stuck. We can't just draw lines. We have to go by census blocks. Frank, can you show?
Where's the data that shows those places are more populated? One thing that's very interesting is that in Ward 1 and 2, they're set up as R3. R3 sits on 45-foot lots, whereas the west side sits on R1. Those are 80-foot lots. They have more land. If you go over to Barron's Ward, he has more land. So it's not like he has more people. You look at the lot, you look at the map, and let me finish, sir.
But you're wrong. He has 4,200 people.
He has 4,200 people. Show me the data that shows that.
I did, we sent it to you.
Yes, sir.
It's the federal data. You want to go dig down deep, or we can spend 2 days doing that for you. We can get it
We're
up.
not gonna do that.
No.
Frank, can you tell the alderman how we get the data and how you, please?
When I asked you for the data, this is what you sent me, these numbers.
That's what I sent you.
What do these numbers mean?
Each one, Frank, can you explain what the numbers are?
So these are, the federal census is a very massive database, and at the core of the census is census blocks. And then you just, you build up areas from census blocks. So this was, if you remember, I was showing you the demographics of of the area, is not something I made up. These are census block groups. And census blocks are very tiny, so this is showing the census block group. And each census block, each census block group, and then census tract, which are larger than that, they have a label. So, well, I'll just zoom into.
Yeah, zoom into one.
Sure, well, this big one right here.
Okay,
So I'll teach you something, Bert. Do you know what 17 means?
no.
17, that means state of Illinois. So each census block is coded, and they're 20 digits long when you go down to the smallest level. So this census block, 17 is the code for Illinois, 31 is the code for Cook County, and then 82 is the code for that subdivision. But then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. 82 gets the census.
Can you click in smaller and show them a census, like a neighborhood?
Sure.
So we're stuck with what the federal government gives us after they do the census. And you can't just draw lines, you have to draw it by way of the census block. And Frank has shown you the big tract, but these tracts get broken down into smaller tracts, which hopefully we can show you, which go, block by block. And we're stuck by, when we do this, we're stuck by seeing how many people on that block and making it fit within a ward. It's not an easy job, especially when we're confined by the numbers, and we're confined. This was difficult because of the growth in one ward and the losing in the other ward.
You've got two aldermen that are very close together.
Yeah, real close together. Yep.
Also, on July 25th, City Council approved the new ward maps. Now, you said that this has to be done before the election, so it changes the maps before the election.
Yes.
Well, Bloom Township, Bloom City Council just did it, and I'll read a quote. Once approved, the new map will likely take effect on May 1st, 2023, to coordinate with the date of the new election. Incumbent council members at that time will represent the new wards.
That's absolutely correct.
Exactly. So before the election, we can stay in the same place. And then after May 1st, it changes. It have to change right away.
It does.
No, sir. I mean, the other ones are not doing it. This is just Bloom City. If you go, I can Google, I got 3 more. They did the same thing.
I got about a dozen. And what that means, Alderman, in all due respect, it means when the new alderman is elected, he or she will represent the ward that was passed.
But it will still be represented in their first ward until May of 2023. It will still be in their first ward.
You
and it
will still be the alderman in that ward.
In Ward 3 with the current ward, with the current structure.
Yes.
Repeat that?
Once the map is passed, the map's going.
They stay
No.
in their ward. They don't
No.
get warded
They-
out.
You will be in your.
No.
The concept map were passed today, it's not going to be, but if it were passed today, it would be in effect, and you would be representing the 3rd ward, but under the new map.
And once again, under Bloom City, and I quote, once approved, and I found 3 different places, once approved, the new map will take effect effectively at May 1st, 2023. It's not immediate. So you'll tell me 8 months, it's 8 months before the election, and we're gonna confuse people.
Well, that's what they chose to do in Bloom, Alderman.
This is gonna confuse people.
That's what they chose to do.
No, sir. You don't have to change the map 8 months before the election. But you can change the map after the election, after May 1st, 2023.
And this,
You don't have to do it, sir. It's 3 different cities. I got 3 different things. My paperwork don't mean nothing. 3 different cities have done
you're gonna have
this.
to be quiet you're gonna have to be quiet in the audience. This is the council speaking up here. In this case, Alderman, the map is not legal. Hasn't been legal for 30
It's
years.
been 30 years, sir.
Exactly.
And nobody's doing nothing up to the election, as long as we show proof that we're doing it.
And guess what? They're all
No, sir.
informed now. so
No,
they
sir.
So they're all informed now. And they can come out and say that any election is not going to be valid. at this point.
No, sir, they would not.
Pretty simple
It hasn't
stuff.
happened, sir.
It's not rocket
It
science.
hasn't happened, sir.
Well,
8 months before the election, as long as you show good faith that you're doing it, sir,
Alderman,
that's how it works.
No, good faith
It is,
ain't
sir.
gonna be
This
good
what Bloom City is doing.
Alderman.
This is what these other cities are doing.
Alderman,
This is 8 months before the election, you're gonna confuse people.
It's our job to make sure that they're not.
You are gonna confuse people.
Yeah, well,
Because people
well,
will go
there-
there thinking they're gonna
there-
represent me, and they're
there's
like,
a lot
hey,
of people
when did this
confused.
change?
There's a lot of people that are gonna be confused, Alderman. We can't help that.
You have to
We'll
give
do
people
what we
time.
can to make sure that those are not. We'll do the best we can.
No, sir, this is not
That's how it
right.
works.
This is not right.
do
This
the
is not
best
right.
you
8
can,
months, you
but
can
the
give a grace
existing
period,
map
just like the other communities
is
do.
illegal.
No, sir.
It's
For
not-
30
it's
years,
not-
we have never been deemed.
Well,
For 30
now,
years, we have never been
now we
barred.
can be.
But since we
We're
showed good
aware
faith.
of it, and we
No, sir.
know, and so does everybody else know that the map's not legal.
No, sir.
So,
No,
so
sir.
anybody in here can have a federal lawsuit against.
No, they
any of them.
cannot,
Yes,
sir.
they can.
As long as we show good faith that we're in the process of doing this. It can be
Good faith
done
don't mean
after the
nothing
election.
When you know it's wrong and you did it. It's not gonna help us.
It is gonna help.
It's not gonna, good faith
This
ain't
is,
gonna
this
help
is
you
not
knock
right
out.
8 months before the election.
Well,
The best
Just
thing-
gonna create nothing but
well,
confusion.
that, we all are gonna have an opinion about this. So you obviously have yours, and I'm going to have mine, and mine is to say that the map's not legal. And so that's what we really gotta look at is the facts of, that we didn't ask for this to happen, the census drove it. And so we don't have any choice.
This is 2 years old. This is 2020, it's 2022, sir.
it-
So
it
for
does-
2 years, we
it-
sat on
it-
this and we didn't make no changes.
Well,
We should have
now
made
we know.
changes. And now we know, and if we put it in place, it can take
And I'm
effect
sorry
after
that-
May
I'm
1st,
sorry that
2023.
you're disappointed, but the rest of the council doesn't feel good about it either.
They have more space, they have more land, they have more area.
It's
Ward
balanced
is
out.
out of the ward
already.
now. It covers,
It's been balanced out.
it has not been balanced out, sir.
Well,
It has not been balanced out.
Alderman,
And to confuse the public is
the
wrong.
numbers is what balances out, not opinion.
No,
It's
sir.
not what any of you all think on this council, it's what the numbers say.
This should have been
That's what's
done
driving.
by an internal group.
Well, you
Should have
said
law
on the
firm.
council, you should have changed it a long time ago. I mean,
How?
so you should have brought it
Mr.
up
Mayor.
in the last 30 years, Alderman.
No, sir.
You've been sitting on it
No,
for
sir.
16
No, sir.
years.
No,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor,
No,
after
sir.
every census, the city council is supposed to look at the
You look at a
census.
copy of this.
And we,
See,
I can show you 3 different
We've
ones,
done
and they
that.
did it after the election.
and that's what we're doing now.
After the election.
Everybody's uncomfortable with it. Nobody's comfortable about the change, but we gotta do it.
After May 1st, this can go into effect. It doesn't have to go first
All right.
in 2 months.
All right, any other council members got questions?
No question.
Does everybody understand what we're dealing with here?
Absolutely.
We do our homework.
Any other questions for us?
I'm waiting.
I have no questions. I understand thoroughly. I understand it.
Thank you, this.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, we sent a lot of information to yourself and the aldermen. If there's any other information that they request, we'd be happy to fill in any other information after seeing this presentation. Actually, we'll reduce this presentation to a form where we can send it to everyone also. So you'll have the whole presentation and see the numbers.
Can we get words from the public? Can they speak now?
No,
On this matter?
speak on the public session. We're gonna go on with our meeting and then they can speak at the meeting.
And that's
There's no action being taken on this tonight anyway, so we can wait, let's take care of our business and then we can open it up. Okay. All right, we'll go over to the, thank you, Mr. Olson and Mr. Ross and Mr. Frank.
Can we let him go? Can we-
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we'll go over to city attorney's report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and members of the public, with respect to the city attorney's report, it appears under 8A. Under 8A, there's a proposed resolution approving the extension and renewal of the proclamations, declarations, and local state emergency for the city of Markham, approving the mayor's determination regarding modifications to in-person meetings in response to the COVID-19 August 3rd, 2022.
Mayor Ed Cowell,
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 22R687 as read by the city attorney.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Barron, second by Alderman Hampton for approval of resolution approving extension of renewal and reproclamation and declaration of continued local state of emergency in the city of Markham as read. Roll call?
Alderman Jones,
Yes.
Alderlady McDowell,
Yes.
Alderman Barron,
Yes.
Hauser. Yes. Motion.
Next on the AG, I sent this to you. This is a proposed resolution authorizing execution of the purchase and sale agreement between the city of Markham and Connect Freight Inc., 2100 West 163rd Street here in Markham. The resolution's prepared, attached, marked as an exhibit, has not been completed yet because we've not come to a full agreement concerning the underlying contract. So I'll get that to you and let you know, hopefully by the next meeting. As you well know, we passed a resolution at the last meeting, directing me to prepare it. So as soon as we come to an agreement, we will get that to you for review and possible. Other than that, that's all that I have. I don't have anything under 8C, D, E, F, G, or H. So that's
Okay.
Thank you.
City clerk's report.
Good evening. I just have announcements for events that are upcoming. Friday, August 5th, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. will be Jazzing in the Park at Rosner Park, located at 16053 Richmond Avenue. And they're asking for you to dress in white attire and enjoy for a great night of fun, music and fun. Bring your lawn chairs, family and friends. Our back to school kickoff parade will be Saturday, August 6th at 11 a.m., beginning at Markham City Hall, located at 163 Parkway, passing by Canterbury Shopping Center and ending at Rosner Park. Performances, music, and family fun. That's the parade. You speaking? Yes, that's the parade. Then also on August 6th, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., there will be a car show. That will also be at Rosner Park. Vendors, live DJ, and free family fun. What time is back to school? Back to school begins at 11 a.m. On August 7th, Indian Boundary Prairie's annual picnic, that will be held, that's at 12 p.m. That will be held at Exaltium Meadows at 159th and Pulaski Picnic Shelter 2. Bring your own lunch. And last but not least, the back to school event for school supplies. That'll be on August 13th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. School supplies, food, rides, live DJ, face painting, dental screenings, and so much more. That will be right here at the City Hall. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Okay, under the mayor's report, I have a few things. I certainly see that we are busy with events, which is always good and healthy for the community. We're doing a lot of things, so we want to encourage everybody to participate and come out as much as you can and be involved. Wanted to just mention under my report that I had a note here, didn't know exactly what all I would say. I'm going to be still very limited about it. I imagine I may have to say more about it under open session. But the mapping issue is a reality anywhere you go all over the country. And it's not always a comfortable matter that we have to take on. Everybody's not going to be happy about it in some cases, and some may be okay with it. But it is something that we do, and I'll just leave it at that, and we may have some more comment later. I wanted to mention that we are still working on quite a few things in Public Works. I've met with all of the aldermen about different things that we're trying to do to build up that, continue to build up that department. I know that we have been at some very high peaks with it, and I think this is the first year that I feel a valley in it, but that's a good thing, to be able to see that there needs to be some other improvements. So we're working on some areas in Public Works to better improve it. Of course, we've got a lot of equipment, but you go through different things with personnel. I think I mentioned at one council meeting we had a lot of people off, either they were sick or they were off on vacation. And so you go through these things where you have personnel, that you're low on personnel, you're short. And the same thing has occurred here in Public Works and other departments, like trying to get police or firemen anywhere you go, where some people don't want to work. And so that's kind of what's happened in some places in society. The other thing I wanted to mention, I know that the aldermen are going to mention in their wards that we still have a lot of people requesting speed bumps. I know what's going to happen, I believe, by next year when we finally get them all nailed down, although the ones that are down have to come up during the winter. But when we do get to the peak of having speed bumps all over the place, the next thing is going to be that we got too many. So I'm pretty much going to say you can mark my word on that one, because that's just how it is everywhere you go. Everybody wants them, but the inconvenience of that's going to come about. We are still working on minimal street repair. I would say that the administrator is going to speak about some additional funding that's coming in on a grant. We had a CDBG grant that is going to allow us to do a few streets, and then we had some other additional funding that he is going to tell us about tonight to do some other streets, or to add to some of the CDBG effort. That's what we're going to do. So some of the work, Alderman Jones, I think I talked to you about some work being done a while back that they finally got going with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's coming out of some work funding that we got from last year as well. So now, the other thing is I wanted to mention, and we mentioned about a lot of times, and I know that the city administrator can mention it as well, we've got a lot of things that are still occurring with businesses. Just as Attorney Miller had brought up about what we're doing with a land issue in terms of trying to get things moving and generated. We just worked on a TIF and finally got toward the closure of that TIF to get it operating and going. And so some of these things just take time before they occur. We're still working on the Thornton's gas station. And again, we just, every time you get one place, it seems like the goalpost moves. But we're just about there to see that old Walgreens building get torn down. And we've got some other things that we're working on as well. And we talked about this travel plaza for quite some time, and that's starting to surface again. Couple last mentions, building and code department. You know, I can't tell you there's not a day that doesn't go by where we have someone that may come into the building department, the code department, and they just have to kind of get reacclimated to how things are done. That's what we had to do, is get reacclimated to how things are done. And sometimes it's a good experience or a pleasant experience, sometimes it's not. But some of the things that we used to do, we just don't do them. And so that's where we're at, and we'll take the time to explain what that means. I think that it's something that I've taken the page out of the city administrator's book. There are some places in Markham that Markham is on a hard reset. And so that's what we've been doing. And I think that we're doing well. That's some of my opinion. I think that, I didn't say that early on about public works, but
I am happy with those guys, but we just want to tune them up. So we're going to have points like that where sometimes we need to get better. The last thing I wanted to mention on a regional aspect, I work with the mayors in the Southland here. We have an upcoming meeting with clergy and with other mayors and other leaders with the airport. So that's one of the things that we really need in our region to really help support, especially some of the things we have in terms of big box distribution and things like that. Those are the things that are really going to help us regionally as an airport to carry primarily cargo. And that's the thing that's really going to help a lot. So with that, we'll go over to City Administrator.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, appreciate that. Good evening, council and members of the public. I want to start off with talking about Amazon. Right now, they are ramping up employment again, so there's opportunities out there if anybody's looking for employment. This is the time to kind of apply for those positions that are available. Some of the positions that are available are fulfillment center associate, sortation center associate, delivery station associate, Excel warehouse associate, and they have several other positions that are available. This information will be on our social media platforms, our website as well, and all the aldermen will have it on their social media platforms. So stay tuned for that information. And also, we are in the planning stages of having a job fair. So kind of stay tuned for that information as well. I know that I'll be working with the treasurer, getting Wintrust involved in that process as well. We're gonna plan a job event here in Markham. Next on the agenda is I want to kind of piggyback what the mayor had mentioned about some grant opportunities that we are aggressively going after. The Department of Commerce has reached out to us, and there's some funding available for street repairs. So we are have identified some streets. So we are looking forward to just making Markham better from an infrastructure standpoint. And one of the main things, the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, they have a state revolving funds opportunity here for Markham. We have about almost $20 million that we can go after. I want to thank the treasurer for moving this forward for us. We are going to replace the east side water distribution, the lead service lines in that area. So we're talking about valves, hydrants, water meters, and water service lines on the east side. So just kind of stay tuned for that information. We're working with the engineers right now, just trying to button up the process and getting the construction budget and all that. So stay tuned for that. Next thing is I want to say happy Black Business Month. Today is, this week kicked off Black Business Month. We want to make sure that we are supporting small businesses, but this month we are focusing on our small businesses, so Black businesses. So definitely support our Black businesses here in the city and wherever you may do shop at. So just want to make sure whether that's online or brick and mortar. I think that is it from my standpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Champion. We'll go over to Aldermanic and Ward reports, and we'll start with Alderman Jones. Good evening.
Good evening. I'd like to say first, thank you for all who came out from the Canterbury Ward to hear this presentation. And I mean, I'm a common man with common people. You know, right is right and wrong is wrong. Justice is justice and things are unjust. 8 months before the election, to change the wards is unheard of. As if you all can come up here, I can show you presentations where other cities have actually passed redistricting. I have no problem with redistricting. It's needed. It's the way that we're redistricting is wrong. It's wrong. This can be passed in a couple of months, however, go into effect at the end of the new election cycle, just like the other communities do, just like Cook County has done, just like Broome City has done. This is not complicated. You know, I mean, I understand the attorneys, but sometimes attorneys can say how you pay them to say. This is wrong, people. This is wrong. You know, I have lived in country here all my life. I have lived in Markham all my life for over 45 years. I'm homegrown. I've been on this council longer than anyone else. You know, I've served Canterbury for over 16 years. So within 2 months, you're changing and taking me out of Canterbury before the election. So the past 4 years, what I have done in Canterbury means nothing. And you're gonna put me into another area who I don't know anybody. It'd be different if I was, you know, trying to get up my name. I've always stayed within the bounds of my borders. So now you're gonna take me out of my borders to run something that have never been before. It's wrong, people. Common. It's just flat common sense. Common sense. You know, I can show you right now multiple cities passing the redistricting, and it goes into effect next year. It does not have to go into effect. One of the attorney Burke said, "Oh no, you be there." The attorney said, "No, change your mind." He changed his mind. He changed his tune. It makes no sense. It makes no sense, people. We need to work together. You know, it's so funny because you know, I love drinking water. I love drinking water. You know, let me just quench my thirst now. And sometimes I even put a little cinnamon in there, a little, you know, cinnamon, because cinnamon is good for blood pressure and stuff like that. So you give it a little color. So Harold Murphy, he used to be an alderman here. He used to tell me about this story, and the story never made no sense when I was younger, but when I just got older, it started making sense to me. He said is that these two men in nice suits came into a store, and as they was talking very kindly and very nicely, one of the men went to the back. And when he went to the back, one of the men went to the back, went and stayed in the front. Well, the man in the back started causing confusion. And he started saying things that didn't make common sense. He started saying things that make no sense, and he put something different in the drink. And as he was arguing over the drink, if it was cinnamon here or not, the man in the front was robbing the store. The man in the tie was robbing the store. The man in the tie was taking the food, taking the herbs, and robbing the store. When the two men came to the back, he was like, "Man, who are you?" So what happened? I don't know. I didn't know that guy. It was a setup. In our community, it's so bad that we are getting confused in our community. We have a lot of resources in our community to go out of our community. I believe that the resources should stay in our community. I believe that we have a planning board, we have a zoning board, and we have intelligent people that we can pay to do this or be part of this. This is not rocket science, people. This is not rocket science. And every one of you all should remember this. This dentistry, 8 months before the election, is a catastrophe. And please, 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 wake up. Don't be confused. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Because everybody knows that this can be done after the election. Don't drink the Kool-Aid when other communities are doing this. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Everyone is knowledgeable. But unfortunately, in our community, you know, we have to have high-priced lawyers telling us what was right and wrong. You know right and wrong. You know to follow your heart, your instinct. This is not right. This is not written science. So please, if you can, reach out to your aldermen and talk to them. And understand right is right. I want you to represent me while we in our award. Tell the aldermen that, hey, listen, I want you to represent me right now. After May 1st, then we can change it up. But I want your representation. For the past 4 years, you served me. And now I want your representation. Please, people, talk to your aldermen. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Thank you.
Is that the end of your report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good evening, Alderman Barron.
Good evening. I have to admit, I was a little bit caught by surprise. I didn't realize that after the census every 10 years that we're supposed to reanalyze our wards. So it's, when Mr. Olderson called me Wednesday or Thursday, I was a little bit stunned. I remember when the last one was done, and it was, everybody was up in arms over that. Actually, my ward extended into where Alderman Jones lives at one time. So everything changes. I don't know if there's any easy formula when you figure you got to take into consideration precincts. Can't jump over one ward to go to another, and it seems like I don't think it is really easy. I think it's a complicated process, and you gotta work with census tracts, and it's pretty wild. I think with everything that's going on tonight, that'll be the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Barron. Good evening, Alderman Hampton.
Well, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, members of the City of Markham. My report is not going to be too long. I want to start off with on August 27th, Ward 1 will be having their festival. We will have our festival on August 27th, and again, it will be at Martin Luther King Park. Be expecting to see the information in reference to that in the mail. It should be coming to your mailbox. Again, I don't just discriminate, say it's just for Ward 1, it's for anyone in the City of Markham who would like to attend. We have an awesome time, and it's gonna be great. So please get an opportunity to mark that on your calendar for August 27th. I want to thank Public Works. Public Works had to come out. As we all know, we have huge trees in our city, and couple of trees have actually fell onto some properties this week. So we had to have Public Works to come out, clean it up, cut the tree. Of course, we got stopped today because of the rain. So we are moving forward with actually getting those trees and the easements done as soon as the weather permits us to start back up again. But I just want to say Public Works, they work hard. They truly do work hard, and I must give them kudos on that. Mayor, in reference to those speed bumps, I want to let Ward 1 know that the next speed bump will be going down 163rd Street. The previous speed bumps that we put in Ward 1, I had to actually identify the street that was the most dangerous street, and that so happened to be Marshfield. It's like an expressway on Marshfield. So I had to actually attend Marshfield, take care of Marshfield, but I'm not quite finished with Marshfield as well. But the next set of speed bumps will be going down 163rd Street. There will be 3 speed bumps from Wood Street going back east to Park Avenue. So every other block will have a speed bump. We have to slow them down. Again, 163rd Street is an expressway. And then I would move forward. I'm going to 162nd Street, and then to 164th Street, and then I'll go back onto the side streets, Hermitage, Marshfield, Paulina, and finish up that way. Also, I want to say, yes, thank you, City Administrator for mentioning the Black businesses, and I was going to mention that as well, because it is Black Business Month. So please get an opportunity to come out and just support our Black businesses this month. We know they're smaller businesses and they're not big corporate businesses, but please take an opportunity to support them. We have plenty of them in our city alone. You know, down 159th Street, we have them in Canterbury, whatever. So please get an opportunity to support the businesses. And then last but not least, in reference to the mapping, I think on my point of view, as an alderman in Ward 1, when I got the phone call to state that I need to meet with the attorneys to see exactly how the redistricting is, it was a shock for me as well. But I understood the legalities that needed to take place within the city. Of course, we have been for many, many years not in compliance. And I understood that these particular remapping of the wards have to take place. Yes, so did it shift? Do we pick up more? Do we drop some here, pick up here? Yes, we do. But I think as an alderman, communication out in the new ward, new area, we have to communicate and just let them know exactly what's going on and who their alderman is. Well, that's what I'm planning on doing in my ward. So again, just like Alderman Barron was saying, it's not an easy task, but that's what we're here for. We have to stand up to the task, and we have to actually accommodate and do what is needed to be done on a legal point of view. Of course, it's been 30 years or whatever the case may be. I wasn't sitting on this bench 30 years ago, don't misunderstand me, but I was still a little bit informed as well. I'm a Markham net as well. I was raised in Markham since eight years old. And today is my day.
Happy birthday.
64 today. I had a thing in my game. I'm 64. So I understand that things do shift, but the most important thing is I think we're professional enough. I think we're an adult enough. I think we're knowledgeable enough to accept the changes and keep moving. Because the most important thing is that we have to still represent the masses of people who live in Markham. And I'm willing to do that, even if I have to shift, pick up, and do what needs to be done. And that's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, Alderman Lady McDowell.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councils and residents that are present on tonight. There are more speed bumps coming in your second ward. Hopefully by next week, they will actually be putting out more speed bumps. On 161st and Honoree, we were blessed to be able to get part of that GB grant to get that street repaired, so that will be done very soon. There's dumping on Winchester, 165th, and they're dumping actually from one side of the street to the other because the house they're dumping at is a vacant home. So I want to encourage residents, if you see somebody bringing furniture out of their house and dumping it on someone else's property, please call the police. And on Saturday for the parade, those in the second ward that would like to participate in our parade, please come out, decorate your cars. Let's represent the second ward very, very closely, very good. Also, with our ward map, changes is not easy. This is a big step as an alderperson for myself with the changes that's going to take place. Shifting in the second ward, but God has put me here in this seat for the challenge for you. I'm here for you. And it's all about serving our people in our community. So we're gonna work together to adapt to this new change for our city. This is for you. Unfortunately, our hands are tied because of the censor, but we're here to do the work and we're here for you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Alder Lady. With that, we'll go over to public session.
Motion, we open the meeting to the public.
So move.
All right, we have a list. If you have not signed up and you want to address the council, you still can sign up. We'll let you sign in. You'll have 3 minutes to address the council. Well, wait, we got sign-in sheets here, so we got some more people want to sign in. Okay, we'll call you off and you'll be able to go over to the podium where the mic is, and you'll have 3 minutes, and Mr. Champion down there will keep track of that for us. And we've got a lot of speakers, so we'll have to be prompt about it. So please get to your point quickly so we don't have to ask you to move on, all right? Okay, go right ahead.
Darlene Harris. On behalf of Jack Harris Transportation, I'm Darlene Harris, office manager, and my assistant is here. I'm here on behalf of the decision that was made. Ever since on last year, we have been trying to secure a location for Harris Transportation. We've been in business for over 48 years. We wanted to secure a business in Markham, Illinois. We did all our compliance. We did everything that was caused of us to do. And on numerous occasions, I've spoken with various aldermen as well. Long story short, we found a location, and I appreciate all the help that we receive on behalf of the mayor and Mr. Champion, all the others who I've spoken to. So I'm no stranger. Again, grew up in Markham. Long story short, there was an error on the meeting, and we was told that we was voted, but we've been trying to get our business license. We completed everything that was asked of us. And then until the oversight of the meeting to come before the city councilor, it was thrown out. And my acknowledgement that I didn't think it was fair because I couldn't attend. I was understood it was only by Zoom. Had I not known that we could have come to the meeting just like we here tonight, my staff and all of us are here tonight, then we would have. So I'm just pleading and asking if we will have the opportunity to reconsider the turnaround. We really appreciate that. Thank you. And also, we would like to participate. Down through the years, Harris Transportation have provided free service during the election. Long story short, a lot of things we have, has presented to Markham as well. And we would like to be a part, a little more active with the city of Markham. Myself, upon leaving this meeting, from all that I've heard, I definitely would like to be involved. I'm no stranger. So thank you for your time.
Okay, Ms. Harris, we will reach back out to you in regard to this evening, and because I know that you have an existing office that we need to talk to you about what occurred from the last meeting where your business was denied. I can tell you, obviously, it was solely based off of the parking and the transportation, but you do have office space that we need to discuss. And if the council wants to revisit the bus matter, then we'll take that up. But we'll be back in touch with you, certainly about your office space. We need to discuss that, settle that, and see where it's going to go from there.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, next we have Kendall, and unfortunately, I can't read the last name.
Last name is Kenneth.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, City Council. Good evening, fellow Markhamites.
Good evening.
I have a couple questions in reference to the proposed mapping. Earlier, the gentleman was talking about census data from the 2020 census. But my question is, at what level did the city of Markham participate in the census? Was it 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%? What were the numbers? Because I worked with the census for 17 communities throughout the census process. So what percentage of Markham residents actually filled out the census data in order for him to come up with the numbers that he came up with? That's question number one. And question number two is, if there will be a proposed mapping change, will there be public meetings in the various wards to explain this to the residents so that they can fully understand and grasp what's going on in the city of Markham? Those are my two questions.
Well, I'll do my best, Mr. Parrott, to tell you that I'd probably ask you the first one. Since you work with them, I mean, you would know better than anybody.
Well, I work with 17 communities, so I don't know
I mean,
offhand.
but you live here, you don't know the number?
No, I don't.
Well, me and you be pretty close to each other, but I believe it was 40, 50, 60%, I don't remember. That was the percentage I recall. I don't know if that was a closeout number, but like I said, I was gonna rely on you since once you told me where you worked at, I was looking for you.
But I'm just saying, so the numbers.
So, I don't know what that does for you, but, that's, I'm guessing.
But then the numbers would be skewed because there was not 100% participation from the residents. So that's why I'm saying.
Well, you're gonna have that everywhere you go, so I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Maybe try and do it over, but, good luck with that.
And then the second question is, with this potential or proposed remapping or redistricting of the wards, will there be public meetings in the various wards with the residents?
There's nothing that requires that, first of all. There's nothing by law that requires you to do that. Nothing that's strenuous about it, but certainly tonight is the beginning, and we've got a lot of things out there on social media and passed out and everything else, and we've got a council that is committed to making sure that people know what's going on. So that's what their jobs are, and that's what they're going to do.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Leonard Davis and Adi.
I wanted to ask about those speed bumps. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you said you're gonna start on 163rd, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, but you didn't mention 161st. Now, 161st Street is where the center is.
Yes.
Now, whenever, usually it's around the time the kids would be coming home from school on the buses. Cars go up and down that street, sometimes they're doing 50, sometimes maybe somewhere between 40 and 60, speeding down that street. These little guys are getting off the bus. They're not looking around for cars and all that. That is the most dangerous street. And that should be considered 161st Street because they're going to the park, which is right there. And they're not paying attention, riding their bikes, playing ball and what have you. And it all bounces outside of the fence. Those children can get hurt.
Yes, ma'am.
Seriously. So I'm just saying, could you consider that area as well? Otherwise, it's just a matter of time for some of those little guys are hurt. If I want those school buses or those speeding cars that the kids, drive up down the street with all enforcement, that's okay.
Right.
Protect the little guys. Yeah.
Did I say 162nd or did I say 161st Street? Okay, my apologies. I'm at 161st Street as well. Yes, because I'm doing the streets first, and then I'm going on to the named streets. So 163rd, I'll put it in layman terms. 163rd is the Eisenhower Expressway. 162nd is Dixie Highway. So the one that's actually getting more speeders is 163rd. So I'm gonna do 163rd, and then I'll move over to 161st block as well and get that one as well. So yes, definitely, and you're absolutely correct in determining on where these speed bumps should actually be placed. I did not take into consideration a lot of the children as well. So I had to revamp this here. So you're absolutely right. And then school is coming in, starting back up again. So I might just alter that and do 161st first and then come over to 163rd. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You know, they don't just, you know, put the students out.
Correct.
Say, no, no. no.
Yes, that's
They go over
correct.
there all the time.
That's correct.
Okay, just.
Okay,
wanted to-
all right, thank you. I'm gonna record that.
Alfred Young?
Alfred Young here? Okay, all
This
right.
is gone. Michelle Brown?
I have a question. The precinct, since you're gonna revamp district or whatever you call it, I'm in precinct 35, right, because I'm in Ward 3. I would be ready to take over us, so where do we go?
What's that? I couldn't hear you,
Where we
man.
go? I'm in Ward 3, right?
Yes.
But according to this piece of paper, I'm gonna be in Ward 1. Where are we going as far as voting? Because I just got a new card Saturday.
Same precinct. It's the same voting place. It doesn't change, they still voted the
It's gonna
same.
still be the same?
The attorney has indicated that it's not gonna change. So where you go to vote won't change.
Okay, but then when we get ready to talk to our alderman, I'm used to going to Mr. Jones. Now I have to go to.
Well, you'll be going to somebody different if that's what they all decide.
And this is taking effect when?
Yeah, let's.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I stated earlier that basically when this new mapping come into existence, it's my obligation to make sure that the wards, that the areas that I picked up, the new areas, it's my obligation to make sure I come to you. It's my obligation to make sure I introduce myself to you. It's my obligation to make sure I can answer your questions. It's my obligation to make sure that I can come back and give answers to you. So I don't feel that the quality of service that you have been receiving is going to change. It's just as a different phase. But I promise you, I will be a diligent alderman to you, just as well as I am everywhere else in the ward.
I just wanted to know
Yes.
where we was going. to.
Yes, ma'am. Same voting. Same voting. Yes. I've been here 50 something.
Well,
Yeah.
if it goes any different, then you may see her, but they all do good work. And that's just my opinion. I think that Alderman Jones has done well by you and a lot of people there, as well as they've all done good in their wards. And we'll see where they land, if whether they'll represent you or not. We got some time before we get there. But in the meantime, your voting place won't change.
Okay, so my next question to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's your office?
My office is located right here at City Hall. I'll make sure I give you a card if you need a card, though. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Joanne Sims?
Good evening, Mayor, and to all the elected officials.
Good evening.
I'm just here to just state my opinion. Personally, now this is just my personal opinion regarding the remap. I personally feel that 8 months out from an election, it's injustice to the constituent as well as you all as elected officials. Now, I heard what someone said about, okay, you can do the election, you're still in your ward, but the map would not be effective, which I like that, until May the 1st. And that would give you 4 years or 3 years to prove to your new constituent as well as the elected official that you all could build a relationship. I don't see a relationship being built effectively in 8 months. I mean, even though you get out and you knock on the doors and stuff, I don't see you covering every door, but I feel like for me as a constituent and you as an elected official, to make the map effective February the 1st, of 2023, I think it would benefit everybody in the long run if you can do it legally. You still have your constituent, but then after May 1st, then you got 4 years to deliver service, 4 years to get to know the new constituent that you're picking up, and 4 years to continue to be a public servant. I just want to make sure that everybody get a proper and a fair chance to prove that you're worthy of being elected. Because now your current constituent, they know you. But then you picking up maybe 1,500 or some other new elected constituent, they don't know you, you know. So that's unjust for them. But I think to do the fair thing, just May the 1st, 2023, let that map go into effect. And I think everybody can prove themselves in the next 4 years that I'm worthy to come back for another 4 years. I just, you know, when you look at the redistricting as a whole, and I see where we had 22 Black congressional members in Congress.
1 minute.
And now we only have 9. This is serious. Redistricting, and anytime we do have to make a change, no, change is not easy. But we have to be mature enough and flexible enough to accept change. But I want change to be in my behalf as a constituent, as well as work in your behalf as elected official.
Thank you. Thanks.
Grace Stanton.
I'm here this afternoon to talk about my grass cutting. We have been in Markham for 23 years. I've paid for my grass cutting ever since I've been here. And then all of a sudden, they told us about the program. Can you hear me?
Yes.
They told us about the program for the senior citizens was free. And the snow removal. So I signed up for that. And then those that were gonna work with me, they didn't cut my grass for the first time. We didn't know when they would start. And when they did start, they said they started in May. And then they cut the last of me one time. They cut the other time, the 1st of May. And each time they cut the grass, it was, the first time it was like a jungle. The second time, and when they cut it, they didn't cut it right. It was just a mess. The next time they cut it, they didn't cut it right. Then from that time on, we called and checked to see what was going on. When would they cut it? How often would they cut it? They did not give us an answer. And finally, they said we would cut it every 2 weeks, every other week. Twice a month. From that time until almost the end of July, I got no grass cut from anybody as far as Markham was concerned. So then we got somebody else on the side to cut the grass, which we had done for 20-some years. Then all of a sudden, they told us that person could not cut our yard. So we had to, they stopped him.
1 minute.
And was going to fine him if he cut it $500. And I think that's unfair to any person that don't mind paying it. And then when you say you gonna pay it, why don't you do it right? And this guy came that was to cut it for me from Markham. He said that they said we will cut it every other week only the front, not the back. How can you live with that? So for that reason, I'm here tonight, because I want my yard cut. I don't want to live in a place as a junk. They ran the person away that was cutting our yard. They said, if you cut it, we're gonna fine you $500 if you don't have the papers. What papers they are, I don't know. Now, I'm here tonight to say, to ask you.
I'll take your information and give you a call. I just need your phone number as well, okay? We've got your name and address here.
I do.
You put, is there an address there too? Yes. Okay. And all we need is your phone number, and I'll call you tomorrow. Just straighten it out.
All right.
All right.
Ms. Staley, to answer your question, I believe that the free program is flawed. For the past 5 years, we've been having issues with that program. I want to implement, instead of us giving the money to the vendors, we give it to you, the constituents. So that way you can control how and who cuts your grass. So hypothetically, if we, if we pay the vendor $50 to cut your grass, instead of giving it to them, we'll give it to you. It's the same money, it's the same exchange. So that way you control your vendor. So you can tell the vendor, hey, listen, cut this grass this way. They have to be licensed with the city, but yet still, when they give you a receipt, you just bring it to us and we reimburse you like a vendor. I believe that would be the most effective way to go with this program, because by paying the vendor, they don't even knock on your door. They cut your grass and they leave. So many people have told me, hey, they knocked over my lamp, or they cut my grass too low, they cut my grass too high. So I believe that we need to change the program to make it more effective.
Alderman, you can certainly recommend that to us all, okay?
I have. Thank you.
You can put it in writing and we can address it that way, because we're not going to just send the money. We got to have a process. Right. So if you want to have us address it, we can do that.
All right.
All right. Okay, I'll call you.
All right.
I need your phone number though. Can you come up and give me your phone number?
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Okay. I'll do this.
Renee Lane.
Thank you. I'm here with Grace Tatum for the same reason, and she has spoken well for the both of us, all of us. And I will say that our grass did look like, for the first time, a hayfield. It never, we always try to make the property be an attribute to the city of Markham. And I declare, it looked like a hayfield. And what she said is so true, so I won't take up your time.
Is your address and name here
It's
too?
there, it's right
Okay.
under her.
I'll need your number too.
We're in a line.
Oh, I know what part of that issue is down there. Okay, I didn't know where you're at. You all on down the street here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I know which part of that issue
And I can't
already.
even cut my grass now because I had surgery exactly 4 weeks ago.
Okay, we'll take some time to resolve it. You have a little bit different issue down there than normal. I've heard about some of it. Okay, so we'll talk about it, but I still want your phone numbers. Mr. Harris, you're with them, right? So I got Mr. Harris's number, but I'll need your numbers. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll bring it to them.
Okay, please.
Okay, next we have Leslie Jones.
I ain't taking it. I'll take it.
Hi, good evening, City Council. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening.
I would like to first of all say thank you and happy birthday to Alder Lady Hampton for, 64 glorious years? All right. I wanted to come to you tonight about, one of the constituents was not able to come out tonight that wanted to come, and they just called me to let me know. Their concern was the fence on Frontage Road. I just found out about some of these things that they want, the fence down on Frontage Road, and she wanted to see if that could be addressed. Okay. 155th Street, I think that's your district. She had just requested more speed bumps, and I told her it might be coming up pretty soon. On that first street, I believe it's 155th Street, there's people at a different, there's one speed bump there, but it's people speeding up and down that street, and they were concerned about that. So, okay, that's the second. No, frontage, the first street from Kedzie, off of Kedzie, I think. And then, also, I wanted to address, and actually, I know firsthand that attorneys charged quite a bit to be in the presence, so I really wish they were still here so we can properly address or question, drive questions to their presentation. I want to know if there is a copy of the presentation that could be made available or emailed to everyone.
Well, we probably just, the video for tonight, we can make that available online.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that could be made available, or I'll take email or something. Also, so these questions would be questions I would ask them or ask you. Just wanted to make sure it was public. You mentioned, I could ask you actually, attorney. You mentioned that there are priorities in drafting. It doesn't relate to the statute here, and that there was a typo. This is directly from the county. Illinois compiled status. Information maintained by the Legislative Reference Bureau. And they send out policy reports all the time and update it. So did you say that? Is that correct?
You can. Right. You know what she's referring to? Okay.
Okay, section B.
All right.
And in Municipal Code 65, Illinois 5/3-1-2025, section, I'm sorry, it's section A, not section B.
Got it. For the sake of time for you, he's got it.
Okay, but that, my question is related to that. If you need to get back with me on it, that's fine. I just want to make sure that I addressed that to you, because you said it was a typo. But that's federal and state guidelines that's outlined.
To try to briefly explain, there's no typo. That's what the statute says, that first you have to draw maps that are as nearly as equal in population as possible, which is that emulates the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, one person, one vote. Then the word shall be as compact and
contiguous.
Contiguous territory. So that's what we're talking about with, you can't have one piece of a board here and another piece of a board here without them connecting, kind of like the current map does. Is illegal. Then the third part is that as far as practicable, it's important, no precinct shall be divided between two or more wards. So that is the last factor we look at, but that's also a factor that because of precincts, the city used to draw precincts as being on canvassing boards for elections. The county clerk does that now, of course. The county clerk is still preparing the precincts and still redoing all of that. So we don't draw maps based on purely on the precincts, and to the extent we are, I think most of these do not split in the concept, don't split any precincts at all.
Because when I even look at that map, it's like some of the wards are like on the corner. It's like it's not really touching side by side or north and south. It might be a section of a corner, and it's separated by the interstate.
But currently, that's what the map has.
No, I had to discuss it later because it's taking up time. And if I can schedule an appointment to look at it with you or talk to you about it. Do you look at the actual voting data, the history? Because here, the last literal election was like 800 votes in Markham, period.
Well, for the sake of time.
Okay, let me go through my questions real quick, or can I address them?
Well, because some of this was, we did some of this already. Were you here earlier?
Oh, I was here through the whole time.
Okay, because we went through some of this already.
And
We'll do over the next 2
I wrote the
weeks.
questions according to what I heard.
Oh, I see, okay. But over the next 2 weeks, then we'll try to make sure we can help with
Okay.
some of the additional questions. you
Because
have
there's
for
a
the
lot of
sake
clarity.
time. Well, because, you know, I don't want to, you know, take everybody else's time tonight either. We'll over the next 2 weeks, try and do what we can to answer any additional questions like you have tonight.
Right. Because, I mean, I know you say you'd like us to be informed. So the other two questions, I'll just quickly state those. Do they look at the actual voting data, the history? Did you consider the deaths during COVID? Because we got 2 years, 2 or 3 years accounted or unaccounted for of the population, growth and dissension. And then did you consider the modification and the deviation into account? And that was usually a question for the attorneys, because it didn't look like that you could actually account that data. And as the gentleman said earlier, only so many people in this specific area might fill out the census or was a citizen to fill out the census. So when you're looking at population growth and population dissension, you have to look at also consider the fact of how many actual voters you have. Because the point it looks like is you want to make sure that you have, you can't vote more than once, or you have to have equal voting population. Okay, and then the last one, and I'll wrap it up. Last two. No, I have one left. Which I understand you, okay, I already did that. Ms. Brandt, there was no Ms. Brandt. But I'm of the same mind as a lot of different people. We just got this, and as the gentleman, and I understood the attorney to say that he wants to do this on October 25th, but we just got the information. And as informed citizens, I think we need to have time I mean, it's something that has to be done. It's a federal mandate. But I believe that we should be informed on all the facts and all the possibilities before even you make the decision of action. Before you take it into action, an action item. Anyway, that's it.
If you want to make sure that, you know, we get your questions, and I can make sure that the attorneys can get some emails from.
Okay, so you want me to send them to you,
Give them to me, and I'll
Mayor?
make sure that we get some contact for you.
All right.
So you can talk, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, that's why if we don't pull something else together next 2 weeks, we want to address your concern.
Okay, thank you so much. I
All right.
appreciate you.
Okay. All right.
Jennifer Cole.
So I just had a couple questions. My first question is about the redistricting. So Mr. Perry brought up the census numbers question and the census participation, but I was wondering, do you account for the skewed numbers in the low participation? Because Mr. Odelson stated that part of the process is about making sure there's equal representation. So we know if we also have low participation in the census count, everyone is not necessarily accounted for in those numbers. Is that also a factor when you're redoing the map? Or maybe Ross, you can answer.
Well, Ross, go ahead. I have an answer, but you
Okay.
have a better one.
Whoever has the answer.
Well, right. That's what
There's a few things. The census, the final census that's issued, it takes the participation, and then with statistical analysis and other things, it doesn't try to fill in the gaps, because they know, based on city records, the housing data, et cetera, they can fill in, they know that there are a fair amount of people in certain areas, if there's low participation. There are, if you look at the trend of where Markham was, and especially from 2010, it was relatively stable in terms of total population numbers, right? And the issue the city faces, and why what it really needs to redistrict, is because it hasn't redistricted in like 30 years. So that's, if we were just comparing the 2010 numbers and the 2020 numbers, if the map was correct in 2010, maybe we wouldn't be having to create as many drastic changes. But the issue is we're using a map that's based on 1990 numbers, and so that's the bigger issue. But overall, the census is what we, by state and federal mandate, is what we have to work with. There are options to do special censuses, and those cost a lot of money and are a huge undertaking. Certain communities are looking at that because they were severely undercounted. I don't know of any major report in Markham as to whether that is the case here, and how the cost benefit analysis, that would be a policy decision and something else to consider. But right now we have to work off the federally issued actual final census, and those are the numbers we have.
Okay. So I'm not opposed to a redistricting, mapping and redistricting. What I wanted to ask though, I know that other bodies, they typically get input and feedback from members of the public or their board members. And I think some also allow members of the public to submit renderings of their own map with supporting information on how they came up with that. Is that an option for the public to have some type of input in that redistricting, or is it just whatever you all say or what the attorneys have drafted?
I wouldn't be closed anything over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think that anything could be considered. I think that one of the things that I mentioned when the attorney was here, not to mention how the computer generations and the numbers work, and trying to deal with the variances on both sides, and the deviation between Ward 1 and 4.
Right.
We had to take into consideration that we had 2 aldermen that practically were almost living on top of one another to try to go with the census block to make it happen. And that was about generated about as fair as it could be, because we had to take into consideration where everybody's home base was.
Right.
That's how it should have been even years ago when you served. You know how these things got carved up. So it's not an easy task that you asked. Great question. So we'll consider some things if it's given to us.
Okay. And so, will there be something that will be presented or offered to the public where they could submit, if that's an option?
Yeah, we'll post something.
Okay.
That if they want to turn in something, that we'll accept.
And to piggyback on what Leslie asked for, is there a way we could get the information that was given to the council where we can drill down into those census blocks to be able to go a step further, or at least given the information to direct us to where we can dig into the census blocks to be able to create our own maps?
I can certainly talk to them about that.
Okay. And my final question is for you, Mr. Champion. You brought up Amazon is hiring.
Right, that's correct.
Is it just for, is it for the Markham location? I know previously, I know people who had an issue actually being able to apply for Markham's Amazon.
Right.
They kept being redirected to Country Club Hills and Matson and other locations, but I know you stated that they had open positions.
So when they send me emails directly, that means that they've opened up opportunities here locally.
Okay.
But when you go on the link, it's going to ask you to put in like your zip code or location, and it'll route you on what jobs are available, whether it's in Markham, Madison, Monie, Joliet, or anywhere that you put in the search field.
Because I know a lot of people were having a lot of issues with
Right.
actually finding anything open in Markham.
Right, so I went on there personally, and there are Markham jobs available. But what happens is, and so people will know, they only have so much room in their training portal.
Okay.
So once that is filled, then they'll shut it back down, and only those locations that have openings will populate.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, they only have so many training seats available.
Okay. And that's all that I had.
So let me ask you a question. So once that training port is closed, and do they reopen it again and then
Once-
reopen it
yes,
again?
Yes, and that's what happened recently.
And then the
Right.
information about the mapping, will we come back in 2 weeks to get it, or will it be
No,
posted?
we're gonna post it right away.
Thank you.
That's if it's approved. If
Okay,
it's approved.
George,
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, some of it is anyway. Who's that?
George Cole?
Cox? Mr. Cox. I think
Oh,
it's Mr.
okay.
Cox. Is he still here? Okay.
Okay. Deborah Williams?
Good evening and thank you. I haven't been here for a while, but I was pleasantly surprised that I heard Indian Boundary Prairies mentioned, but I didn't know anything about what was announced. So that information, I'm not sure where it came from. The Indian Boundary Prairies is having an event at Midlothian Meadows, but it's on October 1st. So more information will be coming out about that. But we do have an event on August 20th. Prairie Day. I just spoke to Alderman Barron today about it, and I will also leave information and flyers, and hopefully we'll get it on the media sites for what's going on. But it was a pleasant thing to hear our name, but I was kind of surprised of what it said.
Okay, it's October, I'm sorry.
October 1st is the Og Nature Festival at Midlothian Meadows. So that information has not gone out publicly as of yet, so I'm not sure what that was announced.
That was given to us at the last council meeting.
I
can't even tell.
Okay, because usually those things come from me, so I'm not sure.
Oh, you
It
know
was a
what?
gentleman.
I think Mr. George was here.
Oh, that might have been something for the Friends. And I don't know, that might have been the Friends of the Indian Boundary Prairies, because that event, they would.
They didn't put Friends on here,
Okay.
but maybe it's the same thing.
It's not, that might
You know what I'm
be,
saying? They left Friends off, I know what you mean though.
yeah, because there's two different entities.
Right.
Friends of the Indian
So you're
Boundary
not
Prairies.
having the picnic, in other words, right?
Well, not Indian Boundary Prairies as Indian Boundary Prairies.
Got it.
Friends may be having something, and I can't speak to that.
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm-
then they left Friends off, because they're having the picnic.
All right, okay, that's clarification, but October 1st is coming up at Midlothian Meadows, and thank you.
You all are friends though.
We all in the same area and working for the same thing.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
That's all I have.
Motion to close the meeting.
Make a motion that we close the meeting to the public.
All in favor? Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming out.
The code enforcement.